If you've been cutting calories, counting carbs, or jumping from diet to diet, or trying keto and primal and fasting, and still feel stuck, I want you to hear this. It's not your fault. In midlife, the game changes. The body plays by some different rules and some different hormones. So the tools that used to work for you may not just stop working. In fact, they can also be backfiring now at this stage of life. So let's talk about what's really going on and what your body actually needs now. So, one of the primary reasons that diets backfire in midlife is that diets assume, a traditional diet assumes that your body is a machine, that it's just a plus and a minus, like a calculator. Less calories, more intense workout, you're going to be in a calorie deficit, and that's going to cause your body to lose weight. But in midlife, our bodies are actually responding to hormonal shifts that are going on internally. We have accumulated stressors and ongoing stress. Our ability or inability to sleep and heal, repair, recover. If this is changing, this is affecting how our metabolic system is working. And also, if we are not building muscle mass, as women particularly, we start losing muscle mass after the age of 30 on an annual basis. So we have to actively be building muscle. And then we couple this with this idea of restricting food, taking less calories in. This actually can raise cortisol, our stress hormone, and it tells our body to hold on for dear life, hold on to the fat, especially around our abdomen in midlife. So most women that I work with, they feel like they're doing absolutely everything right. They're following all the rules, and it still feels like their body is working against them. So I want to just be loud and proud about this, that your body is not spiting you. It is not working against you. It's actually trying to protect you. So let's take a look at some of the most common myths around this topic, particularly at mid-age when we are looking at a nutrition plan or a diet. You may hear, to restrict your calories to a specific intake. It seems to be like 1200 is kind of the magic number that is touted or recommended, and you're going to lose some weight. I hope you know, if you're watching this, that 1200 calories is not enough unless maybe you're a toddler. For a midlife woman, for an adult, 1200 calories just is not enough. So what under eating can do is actually the opposite of what you're probably intending to do. It can slow down your metabolism. Your body gets used to using less. So it requires less to do its functioning. So this can actually drain our energy. We don't have enough fuel in the tank, and then that can further disrupt hormones, and even more so if your hormones are already imbalanced, which may be a possibility at midlife. And I think another common myth is that skipping meals, one, you're going to have a caloric deficit, and that's actually going to help you burn fat. So this is this idea of fasting. Um, it works for some, and for many, it doesn't. And one of the key reasons that it may not work for you, particularly as a midlife female, is that this can increase cortisol, our stress hormone, and even aggravate it further if we have chronic stress or accumulated stressors, which we all do, over time. Our body stores these emotions, the stressors, the traumas, the dramas, all in our cells. So what this restriction can do is actually mess with our blood sugar, and that is prompting our body to hold on to even more fat. It's, I'm not going to get all complicated about it, but it's not so much about fasting. It really becomes about fueling our body. So not depriving it or restricting it, but actually nourishing it and probably eating far more than what you think you should. So if you're not losing weight, sometimes this myth comes into our mind that we've been conditioned to believe that we're not trying hard enough, or we're not restricting our calories enough, or we're not working out hard enough, we're not spending as much time in the gym as we should. And this is probably the most toxic belief I think that's out there. And but because no one talks about the metabolic changes that happens within our bodies, particularly at midlife, as our hormones change, as we have accumulated stressors over decades. So our thyroid function may be impaired, our nervous system may be dysregulated. These are all factors to consider. And here we want to stop blaming ourselves and stop thinking that something's wrong with our bodies, and that you've been doing the best with the information that you've had. And sadly, the information that we've been dished out is inaccurate and very outdated. So the question may be now, what does work? And I'm glad you asked. So let's dive into this. So if we can shift from this idea of a restriction and actually start focusing on fueling, nourishing the body, giving it what it needs. Our bodies are phenomenal machines, far more intricate than a machine. But given the right tools, our bodies want to thrive. And when they have the right apparatus, the right framework, the right um, foundation, they want to be working most optimally and most efficient. So we need to look at how do we nourish our body at this stage of life. So we want to eat in a way that prioritizes, first of all, blood sugar balance. What does that mean? Blood sugar balance means eating on a consistent basis. I aim for three meals a day, and what I encourage my clients to do, having balanced meals with all the macros at every meal. So proteins, complex carbohydrates, and healthy fats at every single meal, and not skipping meals, and giving your body a consistent source of fuel so that it can feel safe, that it knows that fuel is coming. And then what we want to do, particularly in midlife, is make sure that we are building muscle. Muscle, not just to look good. As I said, uh, our bodies naturally lose muscle mass as females after the age of 30. So muscle is very metabolically active. It takes more to be maintained and sustained of our total daily energy expenditure. And then the more muscle we have is also creates larger storage lockers for glucose as we take in food and our body breaks down carbohydrates into glucose or into sugars. That's where what can't be used immediately gets stored into muscle and to liver and then the rest to fat. So having more muscle mass, of course, is not going to only improve our longevity and our mood and our physique, but also very metabolically supportive. The next thing we need to focus on, and probably a big buzzword these days, is supporting our nervous system. So not everything has to be high intensity and push harder and push faster and get more. More is not always better. So we want to signal to our nervous system that it's safe, that we give it the metabolic permission to release, to feel safe enough to let go of the fat that it no longer needs. So we can also consider our recovery mechanisms, which is, you probably already know, um, resting, sleeping, light exposure, how all of these factors are part of our metabolic equation. They feed the metabolic furnace, if you will. So it's not just about what we take in. Essentially, it's how we live, it's how we recover, and it's how we feel in our body that really is going to make a difference. I'll share a quick story about a client who I had, very young, active girl, working out diligently, more than 5 days a week in most cases. And she was eating consistently and very healthy, but what she was doing was eating every 2 hours, so smaller meals, more frequently spread out over time. And once she came to me very frustrated, once we analyzed what her body would be most supportive with, I do a very highly customed meal plan based on some testing. But not that you have to do it that way. That is certainly an option. But when we focused on balancing blood sugar, getting rid of the inflammation, and actually doing less intense workouts and supporting her nervous system and her body in a much more gentler way, her body was safe enough to release weight. She lost like something like 30 pounds in 2 months, which is phenomenal considering She'd been trying for years and had no results. So there becomes a moment in time when you realize that dieting is the thing that is causing you the harm more than helping. So I would like to invite you to consider that midlife is not about your metabolism slowing down. It very well may have slowed down, but not because you're in midlife. It has nothing to do with age. It has a lot to do with lifestyle practices. So at this juncture, we begin to notice these imbalances, and this is when it's really important for us to shift gears and support the body, support the nervous system, and nourish it in the best way possible. If you like, I do have a 5-day meal plan that you can download to give you a foundation of how to balance your blood sugar, where to start. There's also some educational resources in there that walk you through this supporting metabolic function and getting out of the diet mentality. So, if you'd like to share with me what rule you would love to let go of, or one thing that you feel like you've been attached to that would be helpful to let go, I'd love to know in the comments below. And I would love for us to rewrite this story together, or at least cheer you on from wherever you get to. If you haven't already, please subscribe. I try to deliver as much information as I can to support your metabolic journey and your health journey in midlife. Okay, thanks. Bye for now.